Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Brew, and a very exciting project I have going on now is to replace the controller on my Hopcat. I'll take you down and show you in a second, with the controller, the SmartPID controller. So I was looking at this and I was thinking about buying one. I wasn't that sure. I thought, you know, I'd get enough out of the Hopcat controller on its own, these Guten systems, that it's alright, you know, it's fine. But I wanted the Wi-Fi functionality, so I could do long mashes, delayed start, all of that stuff that this comes with, and have the app to load recipes onto. So, that being said, I'm about to try and replace the controller on my Hopcat. So I'll take you down and I'll point you at the Hopcat, and hopefully I don't kill myself. Okay, so far I have removed the 3 main screws and these 4 screws here. Inside here we have a bit of a motherboard, a circuit board, sorry, and so I need to disconnect everything off this circuit board. A pointer when trying to take these off is that they are very tight, and if you can get a screwdriver against the base where these 2 bits come in, for example in there, you can just turn the screwdriver ever so slightly and it'll just pop it loose. Be very careful, because if you ever have to roll back and use this again, you want it to be working. Okay, so now we've got all of these bits, we can take the top off. And this is the first time I've ever looked inside my Hopcat. I may take the opportunity to look at these pipes and make sure everything's good, but it does look good actually, I'll be honest, it looks okay. You will see here that there are 2 elements for the heating. The switches, let me just move this aside. So the switches over here, this is where your power is going to be switched on and off. The power will come in here. So a lot of these cables will stay in the same place. What we need to do is we need to wire up the pump, and we need to wire up the circuits for the resistors to these are all the bits that I've got. So I've got the SmartPID itself, I've got an SSR, which is a solid state relay. Basically what it means is, on this side here you have a 12 volt feed, and that will come from the SmartPID, and on this side here it's a 240 volt, or whichever your denomination is, 24 to 380, but mine will be 240. So this will be inside the circuit for the resistors, the heaters, sorry, which are resistors effectively. And to turn this on and off, the SmartPID will send a signal on the low voltage side, which will flick a switch in here, to connect this, which will then complete the circuit and allow it to heat up. And then the other bit that we have is this, which is a power supply which will be connected up to the SmartPID. This will convert from 240 to 12 volts. And that will power the SmartPID. So let's get cracking. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is remove the old controller. There are 6 screws on mine, but some of them have 4. So that's what the inside looks like. So what we have here now, this going in down here, is the original temperature controller. This is something we are going to change for the last bit that I haven't showed you yet, the temperature controller that comes with the SmartPID. These are all of the cables that have been disconnected from the current controller, including the temperature controller. Then you need to, it's asking you to identify your heating elements. So this system's got 2, I believe it's a 700 watt and a 2300 watt. They run in parallel. And then, as we have already identified, the switch, the pump, and we've taken off the controller. So we are now ready for the next step. For this system I have a pump switch on the side as well, so I've got the PCB switch and the pump switch, but the pump will be controlled by the SmartPID. So I remove them. Okay, so they're removed. These are all pump related power. Okay, so I've had a little look at the diagrams. The diagrams that they have are for the Klarstein mash tun. It's a bit different, but it's basically the cable colors and things that are different. So apart from that, we should be able to work out what's going on here. So this here is one of the polarities, and then the other polarity comes in onto here, which then gets split between the 2 heaters in parallel, and this comes off, which would feed the which would go onto the board. Okay. What we need to do first is connect up the solid state relay. So this is the solid state relay. We've got numbered 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 are high voltage, 3 and 4 12 volt or low voltage. So these 2 will get cut and both go into number 2. We'll do that quickly. So just to be sure, you see it's the 2 that are coming off either end of this. I'll point with a screwdriver. The 2 cables that are coming off either end of the heating elements themselves. So this will be for both heating elements, and it'll go into port 2 on the SSR. Okay, now I've got that connected up. They are nice and secure in there. The next step is I will remove these 2 cables, because I'm only going to use the switch on this side, but I need to use different connectors there. Okay, so those I'll put to one side, I'm sure I'll need them. And then I have a little diagram that I've drawn here. It appears as though the live comes in here through this thermal switch. So the live is brown, comes down through the thermal cutout, which you can see there, it comes out the other side, and then it comes to this, which is a cable that splits into 2 and a single but rather thin cable. I don't really want to draw the full power on this, so I'll use one of these ends, and the other ones I will do up with some insulation tape. But that comes straight out and into this part of the switch here, which is these, sorry, this is the top, that has to come off, which is the top one here. So let's do that. Okay. Actually, this is asking for a second cable, which I'm assuming I can use this to connect to the SmartPID, but we'll see down the line. Okay, so what we have here is the neutral. So the neutral is connected in series, and neutral needs to come off the element and onto the bottom of the switch. Okay, so I've now made up another cable. This is one of the ends. I had to chop off one of the others. If you've got new ones of these, I suggest making whole cables where you don't need to have joins, but I don't. So this one will go on the middle tooth of the switch. Then, according to the diagram, it goes into the SSR. So one will go into the SSR and the other one will go into the high voltage AC side of the 240 to 12 volt power supply. So I'll do that quickly. Okay, so that is the port 1 on the solid state relay and port 2 on the solid state relay are done. I also have a spur coming off this cable, which is on the second port of the switch, and that needs to go on the AC side. This is saying neutral live, so what I'll do is this top bit here actually just pops off, just to help a little bit. So the next thing I need to do, if I get my little drawing out here, is I need to take the other cable, so the bottom, this bottom or lowest, well, this is upside down node, is already coming off the element, and that's powered on the hang on, that's already coming off the element, and there's also this coming off the element, so I think I can use this into the PSU. If I just chop that off there, it will give me probably enough to then fix the PSU onto this bracket here. So I'll do that next. Okay, so here we have the neutral live connected. Get the lid back on for that just to keep it so we know what the AC side is. Okay, then I'm going to need two cables from here to connect into the power. So I will use one of these already made cables. And then I'm going to use a piece of just a different color cable. Okay. The power supply it comes like this. I'm assuming I can take this apart by taking this O-ring off. Yeah. Okay, pretty straightforward. So if I look here, it says positive, so the plus goes to the middle, negative to the outside shield. So positive being this one. Okay, and then I'm not sure if this cable might be just a bit too thick to fit through the hole for just got to make sure that your cables aren't touching both terminals. Hopefully I can get this on here. Might be worth putting that on before you connect the cables up. Okay. Okay, it seems to quite happily take the sort of PC type screw, which I have plenty of. Okay, so that is now connected to the heatsink. Okay, so next I've put the SmartPID in here. I'm going to connect up the RL2 connectors. Okay, so the first one. Okay, so that is RL2, which is this one here. You've just got to hope that that cable is long enough to allow us to stick this in place. We need to give us a little bit of slack there. There we go. Beautiful. That is nice and centered. Good. So the power supply, I believe, is supposed to be fitted on here. I wanted to fit it the other way around. Let's see if that's possible, because this is going to go up into the lid. So that fits on there like that. And this plugs into there. That looks alright. Okay, next step is to then connect up the control side of the SSR. Okay, I've connected those two cables up as well now. So what I need to do now is I need to disconnect these cables. I need to get the holes drilled in here, because this is going to sit inside here. It does protrude slightly, but it doesn't protrude further than this lip here, so it should be fine to leave this open. And then I'm going to have the cables coming up through, probably up through the side here actually. So just a couple of holes to drill to fix this mount. So I'll come back to you. Okay, so I've screwed a hole, you can see the screw coming through there. I'm going to have to shear that off at some point. That's on pretty solidly, so I'm not going to put the second screw on. This will go back through this hole and into the controller. That is the low voltage side. The last thing I need to do is also make sure you don't get any little bits of metal or anything in here. What I'm going to do before I put this bottom on is I'm going to turn it all over, hold this together obviously, and just blow it to get as much of the bits out as I can. Most of them should just fall to the bottom and eventually come out the air holes. Okay, so I need to remove the temperature probe and put the new temperature probe in. So I guess what I need to do is make a sort of kink in the connector, and hopefully then that will stay in without falling out. Okay, so then that has to go in. Okay, so I'm going to plug this into T1, temperature 1. I think I just need to split these cables ever so slightly. There you go. So I've just given them, just split them a little bit there. And this is going to be a bit fiddly. See if I can get this out of it to make it less so. Okay, T1, and this goes into 1 and 2. So okay, so I've now got everything connected up here. Let's just have a quick chat. I've got everything connected up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screws back in, put it all together, turn it the right side around, plug it in, and see if I die. I'll just take you through it one more time. So it's a bit fiddly getting this on because this piece that's sunken in here pushes up against the back of the SmartPID. It's all quite compact. So we've got the, take you down. So we've got the power for the SmartPID coming out the power supply. Bear in mind, this is your AC. Your AC is in the right hand two nodes, not on the left and right. Like it looks like it says here, neutral and then live, but it's neutral and live, whereas neutral is to the left of live, but there's no gap. This we'll have to still see if this works correctly, splitting off here. Other than that, everything else is back in. The pump is connected, so that's the pump earth, pump live, which is, we've got them in here, and then this is the control for the SSR. So yeah, and here's the temperature probe, and the temperature probe has gone in there into T1, 1 and 2. T1, port 1 and 2. They just look like push fit ports. So let's let me just find this. I'll get you back up there, and then we'll put it together and hopefully not die. Nothing went bang. Okay, so now I'm going to use a screwdriver to turn this on, just in case the worst happens. So that is PCB on. Oh, we got something. Status mode, configuration, connectivity. Well, I think we did it. Obviously we need to test that everything's still working. There's quite a few tests I need to do. First of all, what I want to do is I'm going to put like 10 liters of water in here and just leave it overnight. That's to leak test for the temperature probe, because we've changed the temperature probe. It's a hole directly into the bottom, and actually the hole is quite close to where the switch is. So I will leave it powered down now. Actually, I'll unplug it. Okay. But I'll take this down, I'll leak test it. Once the leak test is done, then I will go through the manual and program this. I'll probably do a separate video on that, because this video is going to be reasonably long. I'll program this and hopefully run a cycle. So run it where I can select to turn the pump on and off, or the element, get it to a boil, let it drop down to a different temperature, like set a few step temperatures perhaps, until I'm happy with it, and then we'll probably give it a brew. So I'm chuffed that we've got this far. I'm not saying it's all worked yet, because I'm not 100% sure. Not entirely happy with leaving this base exposed like this. I might have to think. What my thoughts are is that I could get this back on here with some longer screws. If I use really long screws for that, it will just provide some protection, but it will allow airflow as well. Then again, am I blocking up too much airflow? Is it going to get too hot in there? I really don't know. I think I'll leave it for now. But there you go, guys. So that's part one of fitting a SmartPID to your brew system.